What is up, Epic 7 fans? Welcome to a Raikuzin Games video. Today we will be looking at Iela Violin, which happens to be the prize artifact for doing the Champion Zerato event that is currently on right now. So there seems to be a divide within the community as to how good this thing actually is. We all accept that you farm at least one of these copies, but then the divide is how good is it? Where is it good in terms of PvP and PVE, and how much do we farm of this in terms of do we max this out or do we get multiple copies? So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss what these arguments are in terms of pros and cons so that we can all debate and make our own judgment to how good this thing is, and that way you can leave this video more informed and you can decide what you want to do. So let's get started. So this is the artifact that we're going to look at. It reads, has a 40% chance to dispel one buff from the enemy after attacking. And note the after attacking text, because that becomes quite important and I'll explain later on why. Note also that it is a mage exclusive artifact, and once it's max skilled, it does become 80% chance to dispel one buff. So that is pretty good. One of the things that we can all agree on is that this is very useful in the Azamanak hunt. So if you've done Azzy, you know that bringing more dispel units will increase the success rate of your runs, because you want to remove that berserk buff that the boss gets. But what if you don't have a dispel unit? Well, this artifact turns any one of your mages into one, right? And one of the suggestions that a lot of people make is that you should bring a AoE nuker as a mage into Azzy, because you want to kill the little bug things that grow on the side, right? So this allows you to bring more damage into your team, and the more damage you bring, the faster your runs. Since the game is still young, I know that a lot of us aren't able to bring, 3 DPS yet, but given a year or so, we will be able to, I think, run 3 DPS, 1 support, or even 4 DPS when we get to that point anyways. So this is where Leela is going to become amazing, because imagine all 4 of your units with Leela and it's just stripping and just smashing face. The other benefit is that it triggers upon any attack on the enemy, which means it can trigger on the first skill. Okay, that means unlike say Izeria's third skill with a cooldown, after you use it you don't have to wait another few turns until that strip skill is refreshed, because even if you use your first skill, which is always readily available, you're going to have a chance to strip. This makes this artifact just, in my opinion, really good anyways. So I'm going to make another point, but this point hasn't been confirmed by Smilegate or any representative from them, but it has been agreed upon most of the community that this artifact does not go through the resistance and effectiveness check. Okay, so if you know how that works, it doesn't go through that, but it just goes through the chance check. So it's a straight up 80%. This is great because that means you can put it on units that have very low effectiveness rates. That way you can focus that unit's stats on other stats like attack, crit damage, HP, etc, speed. So that's one less stat that you need to worry about, and that's what makes this really good as well. In terms of PvP, this is where a lot of the divide is, because people just can't agree. So I'll tell you the pros. Yeah, the pro with this is, again, because it doesn't go through the effectiveness versus the resistance check, you can run this on, again, like no effectiveness units. But then the argument is, why would you do that? 80% isn't a very consistent rate for those guys, because the level of their gear is just really insane, right? I'm talking like top level guys. And consistency is key to getting to the top. They don't want to gamble, especially like guys that are playing speed teams or combo teams. Having your team derp or just not perform is going to increase the chance of you losing. So what they want is consistency, and 80% for them isn't consistent enough. But the counter argument to this is play it on a stripper. For example, on your Harado and your Bazaar, what that'll do is allow them to use their Dispel AoE skill first, and if that succeeds, that's great. But if it doesn't and it fails, then there's a second chance on the Violin. So this ensures that you have a very high chance to be consistently stripping your enemy's immunity. So let's talk about the cons. So I mentioned it already. With high ranking arena guys, it's too inconsistent, right? When you're playing a speed team, you either win really fast or die really fast, and you're trying to eliminate any inconsistency in your combos, because little mishaps is what's going to make you lose. And 80% not being able to dispel that one buff on that critical unit on the enemy's team will increase your chances of losing. For example, Rule of Light. If that unit doesn't get dispelled, you're in trouble. Okay? And I guess the second con of playing this is you're replacing this with meta artifacts. And I guess not everyone plays meta artifacts, but the reason that they're meta is because they work, right? So for example, if you replace this on Haruto instead of using, say, Abyssal Crown or Sira Ren, those artifacts work really well with Haruto. So do you really want to be giving up those extra effects to play Leela? I don't know. I really don't know. So the question is, how important is it for you to dispel those buffs? The other con is, because it's locked to mages, not everyone has a mage readily available. And especially if you intend to use it for the Azzy hunts, recommending that, you know, you put it on a AoE nuker. A lot of us didn't raise a Mercedes, you know? A lot of us don't have an ML Aura. So what do we do have? And don't forget that with the Azzy hunts, you don't want to bring too much debuffs either. So you also need a mage that isn't going to bring extra debuffs. So so it makes it a little bit more difficult to find the right fit. And a lot of us have maybe a handful of units and even less gear that is maxed out. So are we willing to give some of that gear to units exclusively to Azzy? I don't think a lot of people are at that stage in the game yet where we have spare units and spare gear that we can just throw to a very exclusive unit that's only going to do Azzy. If you are, that's great for you. This is definitely the artifact for you then. If you're not, I think still get it, just because you may probably need it later when you get to that stage. So the other thing is, if you're an ML Aura user, yeah, probably like the 3 viewers that's watching this, just note that it doesn't strip away the immunity first and then applies Aura's debuffs, right? It says here that it does it after attacking, which means the immunity will be on and then your Aura is gonna put the debuffs on. So before, originally, it was like that. It did remove any buffs first, but what happened was, in the Asian servers, it just ran wild. Like MLR is just everywhere, just smashing through all the defenses because of this artifact, and what they had to do is they had to patch it and change the description and the skill. So thankfully for us, that isn't going to happen to us. What did I do? I farmed quite a bit of it. The reason is I think it's pretty good, right? And if it's exclusive, it's going to be very rare, and I don't want to regret not having it in the future when I'm going to have a lot more resources to work with. And potentially, if this game follows the trend of other gacha games, they're going to release new units eventually in small batches, or they're going to patch units, either nerf or not other units that may make it better for this artifact. And there's nothing stopping them from upgrading this artifact in a patch as well, or even nerfing it, I guess, if you think about it the other way. But I'm willing to take that risk, so I farmed about 3 sets worth. I think that might be overkill. I think maybe just farm 6 if you're able to. If you're not, just farm 2. And at the end of the day, you want it for your collection if you're a collector like me. So, have fun, good luck. They are quite stressful to get. This probably took me like a day. I know it says 20%, but I swear they're lying, because it was more like 10% or something. But look, I'm done, so Zerato, bring it on, man. I'm up for the next challenge. Alright, until next time, guys. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please click that like button and the subscribe button, because it lets me know that this content is worth making. My channel is still quite small, so I'm trying to get a grip of what the community wants, and I use these numbers as feedback. Otherwise, I use your comments as feedback. Earlier in the other videos, they were saying my music was too loud, so I turned it down. They're saying that you don't want me to make stupid faces, so now well, I can't really do anything about my stupid face because I'm born this way. But other things that I can improve on, please let me know, subscribe, and let's grow together, yeah? So until next time, peace.